everyone. Good day, sir. Today we are going to learn about the norm reference grading. So norm reference grading, it compares a student's performance to the performance of others in the class. In this system, your grades depends on how well you did your performance compared to your peers, not necessarily against fixed standards. We are given tasks. So we have the following final grades are obtained in a class of grade 8 students. So this is set A and set B are the grades of grade 8 students. To determine the scores that would receive a failing mark under both 7-point and 8-point grading scales using a norm reference grading system. So for set A and B, let's organize the data. Okay. First step for the set A. So we have So we already have the set A, which is arranged in ascending order. So let's go on to the set B. So we already have the ascending order for set A and set B. So this is the first step. So for the second step, we have to calculate the statistic to determine the needed interval range. So let's start first the set A. So we have to know the number of students. So we have So we have 22 students, number of students. The lowest score, they have 75. So we have to put here. Highest score, they have 92. So in order to get the range, we have to know the difference between the highest and lowest. So first, 7. Oh, no. 9. So we have here the range of 17. For set B, so for set B, the number of students, so we have 23 students for set B. Then the lowest score is 75. And basically the highest score is 91. So in order to get the range, we have to know the difference between the highest and lowest score. So we have 91. 75. So it is 16. So we have 16. So now let's use the 7-point scale. To get the range, we have to divide 17 to 7. So why 7? Because we are using 7-point scale. 17 divided by 7 is 2.5. to be rounded since we typically round it to the nearest number. So we have 0.4. So here's the breakdown of the grade to set grade or grade. Here's the breakdown of grades for set A. So as you can see, it is in ascending order. In this data set, so let's go back. So as you can see, this is the failing grades, the 75 to 77.4. So as you can see, we have here, the coverage of 75 to 77.4 is until here. 75, 77. So these are the failing grades. So we have 75, 77. Oh, so the phase 75, 77. So we have 3 students failed in set A for the 7-point scale. So let's go on to set B. Set B, we have to break down the grades for set B. So we already have the breakdowns for set B. So as you can see, ascending order. So in this section, we have the failing grades. 75 to 77.3. So we have 75 to 77.3. So in this data, 75 to 77.3, we have to look here. So until 77. So 75 to 77. So basically, we have 4 students failed in set B by using the 7-point scale. And now, we're done for the 7-point scale. Let's move on to 8-point scale. In 8-point scale, still the process, we have to organize the data. And so here's the breakdown for set A with the use of 8-point scale. So as you can see, this is ascending order. So in this section, we have the failing grades 75 to 77. So the average of 75 to 77 to the organized data, 3 students failed. So we have 75 to 77. So we have 75, 77. Then for set B, we have here set B. So in order to have this breakdown, we have to get the interval. So we have 16 divided by 8 is equals 2. So the interval is 2. So we have to do a breakdown. So 75, 77, 77, 79, 79, 81, 81, 83, 83, 85, 85, 87, 87, 82, 89, 91. So as you can see, the interval is 2. Okay. So as you can see, the failing grades is still 75 to 77. Okay, so we have here for set B, 16 and 8 is 2. So we have the interval 2. Then the 75 to 77. So the average here still 4 students failed. 7-point scale and 8-point scale. So let's go on to the question. The first questions, using a known reference grading with a 7-point scale, determine the scores that will get a failing mark. So we have, for the set A, we determine the failing mark, the 75 to 77.4, with the use of this interval, 2.4. So basically, the failed students are 3, because it covers the 75, 75 to 77. So for set B, with the use of 7-point scale, we have 75 to 77.3 because of the interval 2.3. So basically, the failed students are 4 because it covers 75, 75, 77, and 77. So there are 4 students who get failed. For number 2, using a non-reference grading with an 8-point scale, determine the scores that will get a failing mark. So the same steps. So we have, for set A, with the use of 8-point scale, we determine the 75 to 77 failing marks. So for this set, for number 2, using a non-reference grading with an 8-point scale, determine the scores that will get a failing mark. So same process with the 7-point scale. So we have 75 to 77. We determine the failing marks with the use of interval, which is 2. So from the coverage of 75 to 77, there are 3 students who get failed. Then for set B, we determine the 75 to 77 failing marks with the use of this interval. So with a coverage of 75 to 77, there are 4 students who got failed. So in both 7-point and 8-point scales, the failing grades remarked within the 75 to 77 range for both sets. Both 7-point scale and 8-point scale, the failing grades remains within 75 to 77 range for both sets, set A and set B. However, the number of students failing changes. So as you can see, set A for 7-point scale and 8-point scale, we got 3 students who failed. For set B, 7-point scale and 8-point scale, it has 4 students who got failed. So for generalization, norm reference grading can create artificial competition, especially with small class sizes. In both grading systems, a fixed number of students will fail regardless.
Okay, so we will now proceed in class 1B. So, presented here is the following real scores of grade 7 in English. So, these are the written work. So, how do we get the grade of students in written work? So, this is the real score of students and the highest possible score. So, we have to divide the low score of students to the highest possible score. And so we have to divide the raw score of students on the highest possible score and multiply it by 100. And the answer is 80. So we have to divide the raw score of students over the highest possible score and multiply it in 100. And the answer is 80. And then we will put 80 in the 100. And the answer is 78.82. 78.82. So, next is we're gonna get the weighted score. So, we will now proceed to weighted scores. So to get the weighted scores in written work is we have to use this table. So you can see that in written work English it is 30%. So we have to multiply 80 in 30%. So 80 times 0.30. And the answer is 24. So the weighted score in written work is 24. And in performance task, to get the weighted score is we have to multiply it using the table. So we can see that in performance task it is 50%. So 78.18 multiplied by 0.50. The answer is 39.09. So, the performance task weighted score is 39.09. And in quarterly assessment, we have to multiply 78.82 in the quarterly assessment. It is 20%. So, 78.82 multiplied by 0.20%. So, this equal to 78.82. So, in quarterly assessment, to get the weighted score is, we will use also, again, the table. So, you can see that in quarterly assessment in English, it is 50%. So, 78.82 is multiplied by 0.20. The answer is 15.76. So, the weighted score in quarterly assessment is 15.76. Okay, so we will now proceed in getting the initial grade. So, to get the initial grade is you have to total the written works, the performance task, and the quarterly assessment. So, 24 plus 39.09 plus 15.76. And the total is 78.85. 78.85. So this is now the final grade. So this is now the final grade. And to get the initial grade, and to get the final grade, we will use transportation table to compute the final grade. So in transportation table, the final grade is 86. So overall, the final grade of students, grade 7 students in English is 86.
So this is the continuation for task 1B. This is for number 2. Grade 10 students in mathematics with the following row scores. For written works, 34 out of 55. So this is the row score and this is the highest possible score. So 34 divided by 55. times 100. So, total of 61.82. So, we have 61.82. So, we're going to the performance task. So, the performance task is, so for the performance task, we have 50 times 40%. So 40%, we need to convert it into a decimal form. So we have 0.40. So 50 times 0.40 is equals to 20. So we have, the weighted score is 20. So let's go on to the quarterly test. So the quarterly test has 76. So as you can see, 76 in quarterly assessment, it is 20%. So we have to make it 0.20. So it is 15.2. So we have 15.2 for the quarterly test. And now, we all have the weighted score. So now, what we're going to do is to get the initial grade. So we have here the initial. So we have here the initial grade. So let's just compute 24.73 plus 20 plus 15.2 is equals to 59.93. So this is the initial grade. The initial grade of this is 59.93. Now, we're going to use the transmutation table which is found in the DepEd website. So, 59.93 is equivalent to 74. 74 is the transmuted grade